fictionalize them so much that your dreams are now in cartoon.
I mean, I do dream in cartoon. That's very true.
You do? Hey,
I do.
You guys out there dreaming cartoon? Welcome to the first Pocket Dimension Live of 2025.
We exist.
Roll it, AK. Hey everybody! Yeah. Throw those goat horns. Welcome to the year 2025, to the future. Where
Oh my God!
Welcome to the future.
We did it.
The pocket. I know we made it. Let's see if we make it through this year.
That's
No, we're going to. We're all going to.
We got
with
this.
each other.
You know what? Today we're going to talk about all of the games we're going to play in 2025. But
Hell yeah.
first, my name's Evan.
My name is Fitz. I saw Matt almost ruin our professionalism streak.
My name is Matt.
And I'm AK.
Yay! Oh my
And
I
I'm
immediately called you
JK.
out. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now there's no shortage of games in the world. Good grief.
Not even a little bit.
You know what? I don't even have my YouTubes up. I don't have anything. I'm so unprepared. Who's here? AK.
Who is here?
So
Let's start from the
many.
top. Jax made it in first today, followed very, very closely by our friend Fire Drake McPhee. Fire Drake and I are both anxiously awaiting our snow in North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
All of the 3 out of 4 members of the Hottie Hive have snow on the ground right now. I am the only one sitting out, but hopefully not for long.
What is it
Yeah.
like? What is it like to still be excited about snow?
It's so great. But I mean, I say that as someone who lived in New York for 5 years and was very not excited about snow for that period of my life. So I understand both sides,
Okay.
but I
So you can
love being
have a
in love with it
reset.
again. Yeah, you can absolutely have a reset.
Sweet.
I know I saw Kai come in. I know I saw TTP come in and DT come in and Mike Sport come in.
Yes,
I
White
know I
Fox.
saw White Fox is here and
Jason.
Jason. Jason, I feel like we haven't got to see you in a minute.
I know.
Drewski. Ryoko, Dave, gosh, so many friends. Elliot,
Everybody.
Elliot from not Canada, Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Got
is
it.
that SLS?
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought.
I think
Dang.
Elliot
Salt Lake
Canada.
City?
Why is your name not Elliot SLC? Come on,
All cool. All of it is
all cool.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Luigi,
Downloadable
Luigi.
content.
Luigi is
I'm-
safe in LA.
Glad to hear that. I was jealous of your California adventure until
Until-
shit hit the fan. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
If anybody is watching this from LA,
Oh my
we're thinking about you.
Yeah.
If you're in our Discord and there's anything that we can do to help out directly, boost a signal or otherwise, let us know.
Yeah.
Kevin's here. Kevin in Ohio.
Hey, Kev, where are you in Ohio? Our friend Ward Williams lives in Columbus.
Yeah, and Ward wants you to stay at his house.
Yeah. He
Just
does.
coming
That's right.
over. Leap high.
In his crawl space.
Just show up.
Just show up.
We'll give you
Show
a,
up.
we'll dox Ward so you'll know you can find out where he is.
I'm sure that his wife and children will really appreciate that.
They'll love it.
Yeah,
They'll love it so much.
we'll dox his kids too.
Yeah, his kids will love that. You know, Annalise, Ward's wife, has the big, huge skeletons, so I'm sure they will also welcome you with open arm. You can
They have
cuddle
big
with an
You
8-foot tall
mean like
skeleton.
They're human. Their own body
No,
skeletons are
they're
bigger than their
massive.
flesh.
They're the massive ones that you put out, although I think she probably puts them out more than just Halloween. They're like 12-foot tall ones.
Oh,
Goals.
I want a
Gosh,
12-foot tall skeleton for my human body.
You just want to be 12 feet tall,
Okay.
is what you're saying.
No, I want my Skellington to be 12 feet
Okay,
tall, and the
well,
rest
you
of
know
me to
what,
be 6
Evan?
feet tall.
We'll
I
talk
love
to a
this.
hag. We'll get this worked out for you. Don't worry.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
dear.
you.
Oh,
It's
dear.
2025. Anything can happen, you guys.
Anything is
It's
You're
possible.
right. I
have
have
to do-
limiting. Yes.
Don't just dream it.
Be
Be
it.
it.
Yeah.
Beat.
Don't just dream it. Yeah.
Come on.
Come on. Are you with me, people?
With you.
Bonesaw ready.
What? So okay, so
really-
chat, what are your thoughts on snow? Tell us now if you are for or against, excited or not.
Yeah.
That can be our chat question. I don't know. I
No.
just made that up
It
off the
does feel
top.
strange that half of this country is cold and wet, and the other,
And the other half is on
dry
fire.
is on fire.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in now,
This
you
is the
guys.
world we're in. This is
End
the
of days.
world.
End of days. 2025.
End of days.
End of days.
Speaking of end of days,
Yes.
what
Yeah.
games are we going to use to disassociate through them?
Perfect.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Perfect.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
All
seek
right.
refuge.
Wow.
We okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm so
I'm gonna-
psyched
I'm
about
gonna-
today.
I'm psyched about today. I'm psyched about this year. I'm psyched about playing games with y'all. You will notice two probably glaring, not omissions, but like we talked last year and the year before a lot about DC-20 and Daggerheart. Those are games that are coming out this year. Yay! So we're focusing on other things that we haven't played yet.
Yes.
Just so somebody doesn't watch this and go, "What about?" That's why we're not, explicitly covering them today because.
Chances are, whatever game you're what about ing, we already love it. So just
Hipster.
Or we've done
We're hipsters, we've
some
been there
tangential
already.
research on it. We're about to tell you what little we know.
But don't worry. We will hit those other games. They'll just they'll get
Oh,
bigger
yeah.
sections for themselves later.
Yeah, Daggerheart, y'all already know is going to be my whole personality in 2025.
Yeah,
so
we know
we're
that.
just
It's cool.
taking a little.
Squid Games.
Now that
Yes,
sounds
that
like
is
a
the
good
game. That's the game that we
TTRPG.
will be playing.
Gonna play it. Gonna do
I
it.
still haven't watched Squid Game. Do I need to watch that?
First season, at least. I don't know that it
I never
needed-
watched it
needs
either.
a sequel, but it's great. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe
on
season
that.
2 is amazing. I don't know.
Squid Game TTRPG.
Yeah. Oh God. It's happening. If it's not already existed.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah. Oh God.
Check Reddit. Someone's done it.
Everything.
Someone's done
Everything.
Squid Games are definitely for the tentacle. You got that right. Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
for
yes,
everybody, go ahead and get
yes,
your
yes,
tentacle emojis all up in chat if you got them.
Tentacle slap.
Tentacle them if you got them.
And for everyone who doesn't have their membership on our YouTube page, and do it now so you can get that tentacle emoji.
That whole dollar that we get
That
70
whole
cents
dollar.
of. Thank you, YouTube.
Yeah. Give us 77 cents and you can slap a tentacle on
Look
just
at-
about
look at-
anything on YouTube.
I love all this tentacle slapping coming in. Y'all did not disappoint.
Slap them if you got them. That's right, Jax.
I think we'd run out of players for Squid Game. TTRPG real fast. I mean, I've never watched it, and I at least know the premise enough to know that's
Yeah,
true.
basically everyone dies. No
Yeah.
spoiler, just everyone dies. That's the point.
Everyone dies.
Kind of like
So-
Shadowdark, really.
Fire Drake is making sure some people get some tentacle emojis today. Thank you, Fire
Thanks,
Drake.
Drake.
That is so
That's
cool of
amazing.
you.
Thank you.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, man.
Guys,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that I'm not wrong, so you can't correct me. But these games that we're going to talk about today
Yeah.
aren't necessarily new systems. Some of them have been around for a little bit. So,
And some of them
but
are
that
not
doesn't mean
fully
that-
released. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's some that are brand new and not really out yet. So you guys out there, buckle up. Some of these games you may have heard of. Some of them you may not have. Some of them have been around and you still haven't heard about them. And hopefully we're going to tell you and they're going to speak to you. You're going to run out to your local game store
Do it.
and buy the crap out of that.
Mhm.
So who wants to jump into the white rapids of
Yeah.
2025 gaming?
We
I'm
usually go in the
for
order
ready.
of our
Yeah.
let's go in the order of our sweet little
I want to
outline.
go in the order of rolling a GD dice.
Do it. Oh, I love that. Do that.
Speaking
I
of
left
which,
mine
look at that, guys.
Look at our sweet new diaper match.
I don't have mine on
Yeah,
my
mine's
table.
in another room.
Evan,
We
roll
have
for me.
PPD dice.
Cool. We have a chonk too. That is not.
I
Do you
know.
have another
No.
D20 next to you, Evan, so you can size comparison it?
I was kind of stunned at how large they were.
I'm so obsessed with
They
them.
they have a nice hand feel.
They have a great hand
Yes.
feel.
It's a satisfying thunk when you.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go side by side. Check
Yeah,
that.
Big-
look
big
at
boy.
that TP, Maddie. That is what Matt surprised us with. Parts of our Christmas gifts. So
Okay, I'm rolling the dice. Who's with me?
Roll
I'm
for
with you.
roll roll for me. I don't have any physical dice on me at the moment, which is.
Do we have a modifier or just a straight roll?
I think it's
but-
straight roll.
17, baby.
I don't think we have that many.
You know,
1, 2,
5,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9.
9, 10. 10. We have 10 games.
Okay, 10.
So
Oh,
divide
I
it in
rolling
half.
for initiative. That
Do
makes
it
Oh.
in half. Yeah, there you go.
So 8, I think would make that Mothership. Is that correct?
That is a wild-
Let's go with Mothership.
No, I was just rolling for initiative.
Oh, we were
That's what
rolling
I thought.
initiative.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Glad we're
In
on
which
the same
case,
page here.
I also rolled a 17, but I will roll again.
I rolled
AK
a 3.
is so deep into Daggerheart's hooty hoo that she
Whoa.
just doesn't even consider.
Yeah, I don't think about
Initiative
initiative as being a thing anymore.
Initiative, yeah. I love it. I love it.
Well, guess what?
It's back,
Initiative is
baby.
alive and well.
I love it. I'm
Here.
here for
in
it.
2025.
Unless you're playing Nimble.
By the way, I just want to show off that, like, while Evan used the big chunk, I used my tiny little guy. It's so cute. I can't even get it to focus on it. It's so little. I love that guy.
So we don't.
Oh, thanks, Fire Drake, for all the emojis.
Yeah,
I know it's
mage.
embarrassing that I don't subscribe to I haven't joined our own channel yet.
For just $1 a month.
For just
play,
$1 a month,
Play
YouTube
the
I'm
Arms
a
of the
skin
Angels.
flint.
can tentacle
Skin
slap
flaps.
us. Oh,
Did you say that in
and
2025?
Tabletop Phoenix, thank you for the super chat to get us rolling this year.
Oh,
We just could not ask for better people.
I rolled 17, so I re-rolled and I got a 16.
Good.
Oh,
Good. So, Evan,
Okay.
you're up. You choose.
okay. Oh, snap. I'm going to start. So I was tasked with taking a look at 2 systems. One I'd heard of, one I'd not. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. One of them very much speaks to me, and the other, I don't know if it's my jam.
okay.
Is that okay
Okay.
to say up front?
It's super great.
You're
Let's
allowed to
start
have
off
opinions.
with the jam flavor that it would be like marmalade, which I'd probably turn down.
Lady Marmalade?
Lady Marmalade. This game
Marmalade.
is called. Have you guys heard of Fabula Ultima?
Heard of it?
Only because people keep commenting on our videos if we know anything about Fabula Ultima.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so raise your hand, both you guys and y'all out there in the chat. Have you ever played Final Fantasy? Any of the 5 million Final Fantasies?
I think that's the problem. Not one.
Not a single
because-
one.
What? I mean, how many Final Fantasies are there? Isn't the
So
first
many.
one the final, and then the ones
Yeah.
after that? It's
Yeah.
something new, right?
It's like
I'll
the
have
Kiss
to ask
tour.
Cassie about it. She,
Yeah,
she
but
can
see,
explain
Digital
it
Twist,
to us. Yeah.
Yeah, Digital Twist that I know is a
Yeah.
lover and a Final Fantasy fighter, so
A
you
lover
can tell
and a
us all
fighter.
about it.
So yeah. Also, raise your hand if you are a manga or anime fan. I have a limited knowledge of both.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it piques my interest, but I've never dove in.
That's fair.
Okay.
There are a
Yeah.
couple that are for me, and the rest I'm overwhelmed by.
I like the sexy ones. You know, like the ones with the tentacles. Like
Yeah.
if,
yeah,
you,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you haven't seen those and you're talking about For the Tentacle, that's the first thing you'll think about. You're like, oh wow, those tentacles are having sex.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
That's a thing.
Yeah, you did.
Anyways.
Okay, so that's what Fabula Ultima is? It's tentacle sex?
It's hentai?
Yeah,
Why have
pretty
we not
much.
played this yet?
It is inspired by JRPGs, Japanese role-playing games like Final
Okay.
Fantasy,
Okay.
like Dragon Quest. So if you are a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest person, then this is probably for you. I will say this: the cool thing that struck me about it, it's collaborative world building, so that kind of gave you some Daggerheart jams vibes. It's definitely won awards. It's I think it won in 2023, won a couple of Emmy awards. But here, the thing that really jumped out at me was that you can make up your own world, right? Just like you can homebrew anything. But you can also, as you're building your collaborative world, you can start with 3 motifs, and one's a high fantasy one, so just like a regular fantasy game. One is natural fantasy, which quote
It's natural.
focus. It's yeah, that's right.
Natural.
It's
Natural
totally
ones.
natural. Yeah. The focus is more on grounded, nature-inspired world, highlighting themes like harmony, mysticism, and ancient tradition. So, aka maybe that's your jam, or Fitz, that's your jam. And then, brother, this would be our jam if I were to play this, techno fantasy, which is more like cyberpunk.
You battle the beach.
You know, the world above and the world below, kind of, you know, very arcane sounding, less steampunk, but that kind of hierarchy. So that sounded really cool to me.
Cool.
Okay.
It's got some dice mechanics that reminded me a little bit of Vampire, where you have a dice pool of D10s. And it has some stress mechanics and stuff that it sounds like they're both, like, it's not exactly like Vampire, and stress is not exactly like Blades in the Dark or Dead at Heart necessarily, but it's got some similar themes. But you know, that's really it. If you love JRPGs, you love anime, you like manga, then this is probably your jam. And if you are in the chat, go back to the chat, and you know something about this, who out there is like all up in this?
Looks like Seth, White Fox, Seth, and Ryoko41.
Of course.
And
TTP says that
TTP says
someone called Tales of Novum just ran to Fabula Ultima campaign.
Ooh.
That was really good.
And Seth likes jam. Go ahead.
Thoughts?
I just don't. I don't
your
know
thoughts
anime.
and questions.
I feel like anime is something that you, similar to opera, you either kind of love it,
interesting,
or you're okay with it. Maybe
it is similarly epic.
Yeah,
almost always, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if it's about kids in high school or about, you know, vampire hunters or space mechs. They're always epic as hell.
Wow, that is the best comparison I've heard yet to date, Matt. You've really locked in my feelings on anime with that, because I have feelings about opera.
Yeah.
And that, wow, you just made some brain connections for me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
What are your feelings on opera? I mean, in a nutshell.
Love it. I
don't love it.
I don't love it.
Me
There's a
neither.
couple that I like, but
Me neither.
you know what? It's tiring. I've had a couple of bad experiences playing some. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anime is similar. Like, there are some, especially anime inspired or adjacent things. Like, I know that pure anime purists would be like, yeah, whatever. But like Blue-Eyed Samurai, freaking amazing. The cyberpunk edge runner thing, so good, so freaking good. And so things like that, for me, where it has like obvious elements of anime but are a little bit, probably a lot westernized, I do really like those a lot. But dungeon eaters of dungeon monsters, that one is that gets
Dungeon eaters, huh?
Anytime
Anytime it's like,
Meshi, that was pretty cute. I did. I have watched.
eat.
I can't watch too much in a row of it, but I'll, like, my cousin Chris loves that show, so I've seen a bunch of it, and that's pretty cute.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's cute. It's cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some deep loves, and I support all of it, but I don't get it.
Would you play Fabula Ultima?
Okay, I'll put it this way, and I think this should go for anybody who is wanting to play any kind of game. Find somebody who loves the material and get inspired by them. So let's go to Ryoko. Let's go to White Fox, and let's say, hey, man, bring it, and I'm there. And I'm there. Yeah.
Ryoko did say that they only played a one-shot, so they don't know how definitive their opinion is, but they thought it was just okay. Cool, but nothing mind-blowing.
Gotcha.
And I saw a comment way further up from Elliot saying, like, I'm a recommendations only. Like, someone has to bring me the game. I'm that way too. Like, I'm probably not going to go out and seek the new ones. But if somebody wants to teach me anything, I'm down to try.
Yeah, like I would say, if someone who is super into it and super passionate about it wants to open that door for us, I would play it for sure. I don't know that it would be something that, like, if one of the four of us wanted to just read through the rules and teach the rest,
I wouldn't.
It wouldn't be as fun or exciting or passionate. I want someone who's deep in to show us how to play, and then I would be dungeon. Deep in that dungeon.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good.
Well, I think so. All right.
That's a
So
good
what was the
taste,
one
brother.
that you
Thank you.
did? What was the jam that you were all up in?
That you were ready to spread.
How's my time? Am I going too long? Do I need to,
Time is a weird soup. It's a snow day.
It's a snow day. Everybody's
do what
trapped
you want
inside anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this won't take too long. So I actually learned about this game. I saw it on a shelf at my local game store in Duluth, Level Up Games, which if you're in the Atlanta area and you haven't been to that place, holy smokes. I know Seth has, but we need to go together, Seth. It is so I saw this I think last Christmas, brother. I was looking for a present for you, and I did not get you this game called Spire.
Yeah.
And there's a number of books. I think it's the Rowan, Rook, Decard family of games. And here's the setup. It is a fantasy punk rebellion. It's kind of a almost a sci-fi-ish game set in a towering mile-high city. Spire is a dark fantasy punk RPG where players are drow elves, rebels, fighting to overthrow the oppressive high elf regime. I mean, say no more. Like, sign me up for that. Similarly, I mean, obviously collaborative storytelling like any RPG. They also have some stress mechanics. I don't care. I don't care what the dice mechanics. I don't care what any of the game mechanics are.
You're just like
that setup is absolutely enough.
Yeah.
Punk, any kind of punk sci-fi fantasy situation. It just sounds so cool.
It looks beautiful. Just
Anybody
beautiful.
out there in the chat, have you played Spire?
I remember that run you made and you texting about that book too, Evan. So here we are a year later.
Yeah.
You know what? Though that game just made me think of a game that didn't end up on this list that I know all of us want to play, which is also from Rowan and Brooke, I think. The Die game. Which sounds very similar to that.
Ish.
Which I do have.
Ish.
I do. Now that you guys have pointed out what a Daggerheart initiativeless gremlin I am, it's all I want to do to lean into it. Because now I want to jump in because the other game I looked up is also a Rowan, Brooke, and Decard.
Oh.
That could be kind of complementary to Spire and is not out yet. It, I think, was backed last year, is currently on backer kit, and is being released this year, which is Hollows. Do y'all want to hear about that now? Or do you want me to wait later?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think it's what? No. We're honoring initiative in this organization. Good grief.
She was daggerhearting, dude.
Infidels.
Chaos Gremlin. Rules were meant to be broken.
Let me before we move
and
on,
enforced.
Evan, let me,
I just do neither.
Sorry, Fitz. You were saying.
okay. I was just gonna ask you, because we spent time on the one that you weren't feeling, quite a bit of time on the one you weren't feeling, but this one, Spire, is it just that tagline that's really inspiring you and exciting you about it? Like, what is it about it when you Googled it that spoke to you?
I actually read that. I got excited when I saw the book in the store. And I looked. The art was beautiful. There's multiple books, I guess, expansions and stuff. So
Heart
it's been
is
around
a full.
but dark elves versus high elves. High elves are the bad guys.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's
Come
go.
on, and it's in a mile-high city. Like from the big, I was like, who thought of this? This is so awesome.
Grant Howard did.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
And we saw him. Didn't we see him at a Gen Con once?
We saw him at the first Gen Con we went to,
Yeah.
Handsome man.
That was when Lynn Kodega called Die a Kieran Gillen depression simulator, and that phrase has never left my mind.
It really is, y'all. It really, really is. It's very intense. Well, here's the good news. I actually did I didn't know you were, of course, going to give me Heart or Spire for Christmas. I ended up finding the PDFs on a sweet deal. And so I now own both Spire and Heart in PDF form, which means I don't have the pretty versions, but I'm super happy to learn them and play them this year.
Yeah.
What's Heart?
Heart
Yeah, what's
is
that?
so. I think Spire, and I can be corrected, please. Spire is about the sort of like the politics of things, the up, the higher ups and the lower ups and the drow, but then Heart is kind of you. In Spire, you don't actually you kind of are just in the Spire, and you're talking about the whole thing. And Heart is more of a on the ground level, maybe in the world of drow. So I feel like Spire, and I could be way off, but I feel like Spire is kind of on the like Blades in the Dark level, where like there's a mission, not as campaigny, but then Heart is sort of the campaign version of the world.
Interesting.
Cool.
If I was so wrong about that, just beat me up. Internet.
Just be right. Just be authoritative and own it.
I am.
Yeah, that's all anybody else on the internet's doing, just saying wrong things and saying it's right.
That's right.
Ryoka says
right.
Heart seems like a nightmare dungeon.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Tell me more.
You had me at nightmare and kept me at dungeon.
That's right.
I love it. Well, okay, go ahead. Who's next? I'm okay with you breaking into Daggerheart if you feel like there's a thing.
Do not
defy
the dice.
Okay.
That's bad luck.
The dice tell the story here.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay. So then, in that case, we will move into my section of games, which I have called Stress in Space. We're going to be looking at 2 sci-fi horror games, Mothership and Alien. I know we've talked a little bit about Alien, but there is an Evolved
Mothership
edition coming this year, which has some exciting updates. And so I'll start off with Mothership because I get the vibe that Mothership was inspired by the Alien franchise as well as some other ones. And the 2 games, if you're looking for sci-fi horror, this is like you could go either way, basically. They're similar, very similar genre. They're obviously both inspired by Alien. One is literally Alien.
Alien.
Mothership, though, is a little bit more module, a little bit more homebrewy, and maybe a little bit more familiar if you are a OSR gamer. Okay. Both games, the big takeaway is if you are a Dungeons and Dragons 5e person, you gotta unlearn wanting to kill everything that you find. In both of these games, you have to run away, okay? It's scary, and the monsters are meant to actually hurt you and kill you. Like, you gotta outsmart and outrun is the name of the game in both of these games.
Is there even an option? Like, could you, if you just chose to stand your ground, would you? There's just no way to survive.
I mean, I don't. Maybe you could, depending on the scenario, depending on the monster. Like, Mothership has more ways in which, like, the GM could kind of. I mean, both of them. The monsters are not a set stat block like they would be in 5e, where it's very like a wall of text and you do exactly this. Both of them, the monsters are a little bit more buildable. So, I mean, I guess if you have a weaker monster and clever players, maybe you could. But it really is, outwit, outplay, outlast. Thank you, Sam. Is the name of the game for these. And I think that's what helps with the horror of it. Right, is it's not you're not necessarily heroes, you're just surviving in both games.
Which is basically the plot of Alien.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just there to do your job while something crawls through the ductwork.
Making terrible choices.
Yep. Making terrible choices. I will say that there is one, I don't want to get too deep into mechanics, but I would say that the main mechanic feel differences between the two is that Mothership is a D100 and Alien as a D6. And in Alien, as you gain stress, you add more D6s to your pile. So you have a greater chance of success, but more bad things are going to happen more quickly with that. Whereas with Mothership, you're just rolling a D100. And there's an interesting thing, speaking of Daggerheart, that Mothership does that I think people in Daggerheart could steal. Okay? So in Mothership, if you roll doubles, just like Daggerheart with the D12s, if you roll the same number, right? So 0-0 is always a crit success, and 9-9 is always a crit fail. If you roll like 6-6, that's also a critical. It could be a crit either way. So you're trying to roll under your stat threshold in Mothership. So if you roll a 88, but the threshold is, I don't know, we'll say 70, you critically fail. So we could flip it for Daggerheart and say, like, if the GM has that DC in mind, if you roll, say, double ones or double twos, you critically fail because you've rolled doubles under the DC. I just thought that could be a fun homebrew because Daggerheart really doesn't have a crit fail for the players. But when I was reading this from Mothership, I was like, oh shit, there's a way. So yeah, do it that way you will.
I just want to give a little teaser that for one of mine, I also was like, or we could put this in Daggerheart. So I'm glad that Fitz and I are on the same page there.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting that in this game, you're not trying to beat the DC. You're trying to come underneath it. Like it's like the bocce ball of
there's
TTRPGs.
There's a lot of games like that. And I have to admit, I really kind of like the concept of them. There's some D20 games like that. And the end result tends to be that they are dark. They are harder. They are darker because if you're talking about a skill set and you've got a strength of 8, then you really it's not about the add, like what an 8 equals. It's about you're just not very good at this thing. And I kind of like that, it in some ways, and depending on the game, sometimes it's less math, which I really like.
Yeah.
Definite positive there.
Definite positive there. So yeah, I wanted to call that out because I thought that would be really fun. Cool. That's one mechanic we could steal. And I would also say as well that for folks who are beginning their GM journey and love this genre, Mothership is a really good place to start because their Warden's, what do they call it? Warden Operation Manual, which is their GM's guide, is so incredibly well made that really takes you from not knowing how to GM to GMing a campaign of Mothership. So I would say for anybody who's new on their GMing journey and they're into sci-fi horror, there you go, Evan.
There you go.
This might be one to use as your initial game to try out.
That's cool.
To break the seal.
I love that thought of like, because sometimes what is so daunting about beginning a GM journey is, like, I'm going to do it wrong. But if you choose a system that's new to your part, like nobody knows what's right and what's wrong anyway, so you're all cutting your teeth together, and that could make the barrier to GMing feel like less of a lift.
That is very true.
That's true too. But yeah, in just sort of perusing around, one of the big things that people loved about Mothership was the Warden's Operations Manual, and specifically how well made it is, and how people have been using that to get better at GMing other systems.
Nice.
So just calling that out. And as well, so I called this section Stress in Space because both of these games are built around the stress mechanic. That is like the big thing, is how much stress you get. Things get bad as you get more stressed. You start rolling panic rolls, and that's when you get shot in the face, right? Yeah. It's bad.
By a xenomorph.
Yes.
A xenomorph with a gun.
Xenomorph with a gun. Pew pew. Pew pew. So yeah, both of them though, that's like the main thing that they're operating around is these stress and panic rolls. I think that the tables in Mothership are a little bit better, but I'm leaning more towards, if I'm going to pick between Mothership and Alien, I'm still personally leaning towards Alien for a few reasons we will get to.
Okay.
I will say, even though the tables are a little bit more dense and hearty and a little bit more what I think the Brothers Bivens would enjoy, there is a table that if you are triggered by the U.S. healthcare system, you might want to ignore.
Oh boy.
In which game?
In Mothership, because buying medical treatments is exorbitantly expensive in this game.
Sounds like therapy to me.
So if you are triggered by the U.S. insurance system, maybe ignore that part of the game.
Okay, that's fair. Wow.
But yeah, so moving on from Mothership, I'll just say about that one is if that's a genre for you, if you're a new GM, or if you want to play something that's not specifically Alien but maybe inspired by that type of genre, Mothership, it's clearly a very well put together game. Great mechanics, good vibes all around.
Nice.
And that one's made by Tuesday Night Games.
Tuesday Night Games, yeah.
Uh-huh. Alien by Free League, who I have become a big fangirl of.
We all crush them.
Well, we all
crush
on
them.
Free League.
We crush them.
Alien is getting a glow up this year. The Kickstarter has not launched, but it is coming soon. And some of the things that we will be getting, supposedly, obviously the end product is not out yet, but supposedly what we're getting with the new version is a solo gameplay version of it. Yeah. So if you don't have a table, if you just want to play Alien, you can just play Alien.
Just scare yourself to death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 3 a.m. You got your nice cold pizza. You just want to not be able to sleep. Why don't you play a little Alien? It'll be fun.
Great.
It will. The new edition they're saying is going to be backwards compatible. So if you wanted to go ahead and run the game now, I think it's on sale in a lot of places because it is sort of in its end of life cycle. So feel free to pick up the current version if you want to start playing now. They have said that they've really taken a lot of the player feedback in and use that because it's been out for 5 years. It came out in 2019. And some of the cool shit that was in the new movie, Romulus, is also going to make an appearance. So, there's new weapons, there's a new ship. So if you like that movie, some of the stuff from... it'll be in the new book. So, yeah.
Jittery droids.
Jittery droids. So, more ships, more weapons. That was the update. But, I don't know. The one thing that I think to put a bow on my comparison of these two, the thing that I think puts Alien in the lead for me is the fact that I think even though with Mothership, when you're building a character, it's very quick, very easy. You can set up and go, especially, if you're playing at a table or if you're GMing a table with brand new people to RPGs or TTRPGs, this is a good one because they can just set up and go very quickly, sort of similar to Murkbor or Shadow Dark. But for Alien, I really like that the PCs, even the pre-gens, have those
agendas.
Motivations, agendas. There's something about that I think really makes the horror genre shine in Alien. So I think that's where Alien sort of ekes ahead of Mothership for me. But I would be curious to try Mothership as well to get a really true comparison of the two systems.
Okay.
Mother.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you may not know this or not. So in Mothership, is it one alien? Like aliens, just the xenomorphs, right? That's it. There aren't any other alien baddies.
There's a bunch of different baddies. I mean, and that's maybe where if you're looking to build like a homebrew campaign, Mothership is great because you can, like, the baddies can be humans. Like, you can be fighting against other ships, or you can be fighting against aliens, or you can do like a survivalist campaign. Alien shines in that it has two sort of modes. You can either do the cinematic mode, which is a one-shot or like a shorter adventure, or you can do a longer campaign. So they have sort of two situations that you choose from when you're setting up your campaign or your game in Alien, whereas in Mothership, it almost feels a little bit more of like, you know, old school D&D or even regular D&D of you can homebrew. I mean, there are modules there that you can play, and some of them are really great. There's a lot of third-party modules out there that people go crazy for. Someone called out one earlier that I've already forgotten the name of. Shoot, let me go back. That has won awards. Where is it? Who called it out?
I love that the chat's getting so full that it's hard to find things sometimes.
I know.
What a good problem to have.
Now, are there predators in the Alien game?
Predators?
Yeah.
Predators?
Alien versus Predator?
Oh, what is Predators, Precious? Got it.
Are there? Do they show up? Can you be a predator? Because
I don't
that would be pretty
think so.
Then you wouldn't have to run away. Then you could just
then you
trash
you
ass.
just were- yeah. I can't remember the name of this. It's already lost. I've lost it. But there is a Mothership. There's a number of Mothership like third party modules that are incredibly well done. So it's not that they don't have pre-made adventures, but you can homebrew a campaign and have the enemy be kind of whoever you want. It's just set in space.
Mm-hmm. I want the enemy in Mothership to be Danzig.
Great.
Mothership.
You can do whatever your heart desires there, Evan. If that's going to be the game you GM, do it. Spark joy, baby.
Thank you.
Yes.
We are in.
Cool. I'd play both of those games.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're going to.
And we're going to.
Doesn't bother me to not remember this specific
Stress in space.
Space balls. Maddie, what did you roll?
I got a 2, so you next.
Ooh. I got a 3, man. Whoa. So just big winner with that big 3. All right, so the 2 that I covered, well, let's start with Hollows, because we've already talked about some Grant Howitt, Rowan, Rook, and Decard. I'm good at the talking. Rowan, Rook, and Decard. So the kind of quote from its backer kit is plunge into the nightmare realms of Hollows and slay other people's personal demons. So
slay purple people eaters.
Slay purple people eaters. So boiled down, you play a hunter, and you are a being that is infested with the very same rot as the monsters you are fighting. Right? Apparently it's a very like a rotten, putrid world where everything is just decaying and sludging. I mean, this sounds great. I'm into this already.
It kind of sounds like a sensory nightmare to me,
yeah. I mean, the word boils is used a lot of time, and not as into heat water. Yeah, there's a lot of wet squelching in it. It's a D20 mechanic. Actions fail, they succeed, or they succeed brilliantly. I couldn't really get a lot of detail on what succeeding brilliantly meant in Hollows, but apparently you can like really ramp it up. You build a hunter, you choose a weapon to wield, and then abilities to kind of bolster your character. And every time you level up, you kind of get to select new abilities. So you can really just kind of create exactly the type of character you want as you level on up through this putrid, squelching world. Sounds really, really
less putrid as you level
I don't
up?
think so. I think that's the whole point, is that like the world has like sunk into this decaying state. And so you're infested, the monsters are infested, you're all fighting each other. I think this is the one that I read about, that all of the battles take place on a circular grid, and the monster always starts in the middle. And then you can decide, again, based on the type of character that you want to build, are you a ranged, or are you more hand-to-hand? And then they're like, I saw a lot of talk about like one-on-one, so I don't really understand the mechanics with Hollows around party play. Like, is it just like the GM is like, all right, Fitz, your hunter is up, you know, and you're pew-pewing, or are you all kind of like working in tandem?
Putrid?
Putrid.
I don't know, man. I think that I'd be willing. I love like the immersive quality of these games from Rowan, Rook, and Decard. They really care about the world they're building in.
Yeah. Ryoko says that it's all about boss battles like Bloodborne, which is a video game, which is a Souls game. Blood Souls.
Oh, it is?
Soulsborne. Yeah.
It's our favorite game.
It is. It is.
Dark Souls?
Yeah, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne being still the favorite. So it's got like
the Dark Souls games are famously impossibly hard without watching tutorials. Is this game, is Hollows similarly really hard?
I am not knowing. I guess we'll have to play it and see.
What do you know? What do you know?
Seth,
down to the queen of slime, the queen of filth,
the queen of putrescence.
Oh, wow.
And then other Seth immediately saying boo, hiss.
I love that we have a Seth battle going on in the comments.
Seth action.
Seth on Seth action. And the other big thing, I saw the word tactical a lot about like tactical combat because it is based in a video game. Dynamic positioning, tactical gambits, and combat makes combat spectacular. So this sounds to me like a more so the other one that I researched that we'll talk about in a second is Old Gods of Appalachia, which is high focus on the role playing. This one is definitely focused on the tactics and the combat.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So I'm into that. Yeah, we haven't really played a lot. We've talked about both last year and this year. Heart, now Spire, Hollows, some of the others. So Die is one that we've talked about. Eat the Reich is one that we've talked about. Like, I think it's time, friends, to stop talking and start playing so we can figure some of the stuff out.
Yeah.
Let's play.
After this, nothing to Rowan, Rook, nothing to your summary AK. I'm not sure that this game is for me.
That's fair.
It's a little, sensory
Says the person
issues.
obsessed with the mycelium network, though. Like, I kind of thought that this might be for you if we just like plant this in a very like fungal world.
Okay, sure, yeah.
That's
it's
how I was thinking of it.
It's the slime situation that like I'm not loving, but put it in a fungal world. All right. But also,
fungal slime, sure. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. But I'm also a little bit like, are we gonna like a tactic based game? Because we want to be a little bit more on
RP.
Yeah.
So
but
I think
that means maybe we gotta get out of our box though, and get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, I read this because, and it does say things like putrid, and my X card is, yours was around like slime and timers. Mine tends to be around things like vomit. But I did, because there was a lot of talk about like decay, and that is what made me think of like a fungal, sporish type of situation. Yeah. So but it does, and that was interesting that those two things did stand out to me. Is that this one very tactical, very like, here are the rules, you're playing by the rules. And then, so let's talk about, unless anybody else has anything about Hollows to say, we can talk about Old Gods for a minute, which everything is about. This is the game for role players, is basically what all the so Matt's been excited about this game, and we've been, thirsting for it for quite a while. It's based on, there is a podcast of the same name. That then Monty Cook took this beautiful work of art and placed it into the Cypher system and made it a role-playing game. So it's Southern Gothic meets Eldritch Horror, which is it's everything. Great. As I sit here and broadcast from North Carolina, like, so this has all of our names written on it. It is described as a fluid and story-based role-playing experience, heavy on the role playing. I read some rumors around Reddit that this game is not for groups who prioritize rules and combat over role playing. So sounds like we are safe and in there. Quick overview of Cypher System, since we would need to spend an entire Pocket Dimension Live to talk about it specifically. But basically, the thing that you need to know as far as its mechanics go is that the GM, Matt loves Cypher System because the GM doesn't roll. The GM assigns a difficulty 1 to 10. 1 being easy peasy lemon squeezy, 10 being Herculean, no mortal could ever. And then players apply their skills, experience, tools, aid, everything that they want to throw at it. They have something called assets, which lower the difficulty that the GM sets, and then they make a D20 roll. And the target that they're trying to hit is equal to 3 times the difficulty. So if the GM says the difficulty is 5, I've got something to throw at it that brings the difficulty down to 3. I then roll my D20. As long as I am rolling above a 9, I'm going to have succeeded in that thing. The other thing that I read, because we're still in the like research phase and haven't actually gotten to play it, is that people actually don't love the Cypher setting for Old Gods of Appalachia.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really?
I've heard them rumblings, yeah.
Made me wonder, because I think they wanted something more like storytelling and collaborative than Cypher gives them. So my question for the Pocket Dimension is, are we going to try and lift the setting and story of Old Gods into Daggerheart? Only 2025 will tell.
I feel like that would be a feat.
Little magical, a little too magical for...
Well, but that's the point, is that we've long said, can Daggerheart be scary? Can Daggerheart be dark? Can Daggerheart be these things other than shiny high magic? And I think the only way for us to know is if we push on some boundaries in some places.
We'd have to probably we'd have to make a campaign frame for Old Gods.
Yeah.
I have a quick question related to that. Has anyone in the chat played the Savage World? That is Apocalypse, isn't it? Powered by the Apocalypse, isn't it? Is that what Savage World rules are?
Sounds familiar, but
Powered by the Apocalypse might also work for Old Gods, because that's Worlds Light. That's
Super Worlds Light. But this game, I bought this beautiful book. It's called Holler, not Hollow. Holler. And it is a local Louisville, Kentucky game creator named Tim Early, who has his own take on Appalachian apocalyptic. Though I don't know if Old Gods is apocalyptic. It's just an alt Appalachia. It lives on the timeline of our America, but it doesn't. But it's like, what if everything that went bump in the night actually was bumping in the night? Like, what if there truly were evil creatures that people believed in? But I think this is full on like. But I don't know. And maybe this system would fit it.
Yeah, and here's what Ryoko said: characters are too heroic and powerful in Daggerheart for the, and that's
that I can see.
Heard.
Yeah. That's what I meant by too magical. Like, you can't be like, it would be weird to have some of the domain cards in an Eldritch Horror, Appalachian Eldritch Horror.
And I'm not necessarily saying, because I think that the builds and all of, and this is really going to get into the weeds. I just wonder if there's certain mechanics that we could borrow.
Sure.
Like, so instead of Cypher, we adopt like a duality dice. And, I see a lot of haterade going on in the chat for the Y multiples of 3 and all the mathing and stuff like that.
It's
I
weird.
just want to, I'm going to cuss now. So if anybody is in the car with a child and doesn't want to hear me drop a bomb, but I've been joking with everybody here that this is the year of fucking around and finding out. And like, I want to just like, let's try. Like, let's try things as is, as written, because obviously there's a reason that Monty Cook chose Cypher system. But then, like, what would happen? Let's
adapt everything to Daggerheart.
Then let's adapt everything to Daggerheart. Permanently ban initiative. R.I.P. Action Tracker.
Does it Taco? It's Does It Daggerheart.
Does It Daggerheart. No, I'm not going to be that big of a stand for Daggerheart. I promise. I do want to try other games, but then when we find the things that we're like, I like this, but I don't like that, like, I just want us to feel that freedom of doing what we want to do.
Yeah,
it's our lives. We're in charge, y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's exciting. I say because we are in fact playing Old Gods this year. As we dive into it, let's start with Cypher, and then I am absolutely open. I totally agree. I feel like the Cypher system, and probably if you ask Monty Cook this, he would agree that Cypher system is a base that you are supposed to then go in and just soak up the lore with. But I bet if there is one RPG system that is homebrewed the most, it's probably Cypher, because I think it's not just is Old Gods good with Cypher? It's is Cypher good? Because I know, and I'm
honestly.
Not, it's just
Monty Cook, we're looking at you.
But that's what, like, all of the Reddits that I went to on this, Matt, all of them did nothing but praise Old Gods. And the crunch was in the Cypher part.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm backing that up. Is that, like, people were not hating on Old Gods
because he is so perfectly good at the world, and I think that's why in recent years he has moved into, or maybe the bigger selling things have been the Darkest House and the Darkest Woods coming up, which are even less Cypher system. It's like he's like, oh, okay, I don't care.
That was Cypher.
It's like Cypher Light.
Cypher Light, Diet Cypher.
I was going to say, because I like
Cypher
that.
Zero.
Well, then, maybe that's
my
like
closest proximity to Cypher. I never played a proper Cypher game.
The only one we did was DT's birthday. We did Magnus Archives. So I've had like 3 hours of play in it. And it it took until the end of that session for me to even begin to be catching on. Poor Matt was like, stop asking questions.
No, I think that's another, like, people don't feel like he's done a great job of writing the system down. Like, like there are a lot of inconsistencies in the Darkest House. You'll find huge forums where it's like, I don't really understand what he means. Is it this or is it this? And no one has the actual answer. So and if you ask him, he's like, whatever.
It's
which
fun,
is
man.
fine.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that Ryoku might be. I can't speak today, you guys. My mouth is not forming words. Ryoko, I think, might be onto something, saying Powered by the Apocalypse or Blades in the Dark could be great for Old Gods. I am behind that. I think you always got to start with the base, like what it is, and then move on, because you got to know where you got to know where the start line is before you do the marathon, I guess. Before you fuck around. But yeah, I do. I wonder if like a rules lighter system would speak to the storytelling that you want out of Old Gods.
Listen, this is going to be a slutty year for us. We're going to fuck around.
Yeah.
We may or may not find out. Remains to be seen.
I see a couple of comments in the chat. People don't even know what we're talking about anymore. So
wow.
Let's reel it back in. What's next?
What's next?
Okay. I guess it's my turn then. I had 2 games to speak of. One of them, or did I have 3? Oh god, I took 3 upon myself, so I'll be really quick. Let's start with the one that'll be the easiest, I think. If you are a fan of the writer named Brandon Sanderson, boy, do we have a game for you. It's called Cosmere RPG.
It has everything.
It has everything. Cosmere RPG is 100% a Brandon Sanderson verse. Like, that is going to be the door that you have to enter first. I mean, luckily there's a ton of them out there, myself included. Our friend White Fox and Seth, we played a game this year on White Fox's channel. Seth and Seth. Amazing playthrough. Just a touch. I'd say that if you want to get into Cosmere, you have to either be a Brandon Sanderson fan or interested in becoming one. But if you do that, you're going to have to. It's a lore heavy game. Not that there aren't plenty of those that we love.
Do you need to do a book dive before you attempt this game?
White Fox literally just answered that question in the chat. I would say you don't have to have read Sanderson to enjoy the RPG game.
Just like you don't have to have read every single or watched every single or read every single book to enjoy the elements of that D&D verse. I think it helps because one of the coolest things about Sanderson is his systems of magic. They're super unique. They're very interesting. The rules are just unlike
Here's my question to that.
Anything else? Yeah.
When we played Vampire the Masquerade last Gen Con, we all walked away feeling like, man, we really needed a lore download before we played that game, because it was it's such a specific world. And it sounds like Cosmere, unlike D&D, I mean, you might play a module that's pre-written for you if you're in Forgotten Realms. Otherwise, you're homebrewing it. You just go with it. Yeah. But in Cosmere, it sounds like it's very specific.
It is very specific.
That you're in. So, would you like to change your answer?
Well, and Rabbit even said like exactly that. I disagree. Like everything says you don't need to, and then descended into blah 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 blah. That was all book specific. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Luckily for me, Matt gave me some Sanderson books.
I did. This has been my prediction for you, Evan, that this is going to be your new Dritz, because I think you're going to go from like I only consume comic books to I only consume things that become RPGs, and only if there's like a volume of at least 10 or more.
How many Sanderson books, brother? In like the compiled ones? Is it more than the Drizzt books? Because I realized I've read 39 Drizzt books.
I don't know.
That's how many there are.
A fanboy would definitely know that better than me. But they're not all in the same world. That's what the Cosmere book is. And Cosmere itself, like that word, that thing, is a relatively new concept for him. Okay, thank you, Seth of all trades. 24 Cosmere books. But he also has some satellite ones that are not
2 a month and you're done.
Yeah,
you got this, Seth.
And you're done.
No pressure.
He wanted to tie them together, and he did a great job. But like in the Mistborn series, which I gave you for Christmas and started, there are 6 core books that jump an entire century between them, the trilogies, and then there are satellite ones. There's a lot to read, but luckily I really like his style. It's definitely worth it. I think you're going to really love him. I really do.
Yeah. I'm excited.
But that being said, it is D&D adjacent, though there are some twists. Apparently, and White Fox, tell me if this is true, but apparently there is now a custom plot die. Is that new, or did I just miss it the first time when we played? But there's like there's symbols instead of numerals. Oh, you know why I don't know that is because Cosmere is one of those games that is on Nexus by Demiplane, and so that kind of stuff was done for me. It has a really cool opportunity complication system that is it's a D6, much like these other ones like Daggerheart and Stress and stuff. But that's how they handle it. But if you get into it, there's really cool concepts like Spren, which are the manifestation of emotions and other elements, and magic. Spren. The closest.
Spren. Here's a question. From Ryoko. I think I heard Cosmere is classless. Do you remember?
I remember kind of choosing a class. It does have this expertise system where
you ain't got no class.
Where exactly. It's more like a class tree system where so it's like a Dark Souls where you're kind of building your character as you go. But you do have a base. You have to have are you basically a historian or a fighter or a worker or something like that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought I remembered you guys like picking a specific.
In fact, there is a lost Pocket Dimension video where Seth of all trades and I we made a video where we built a Cosmere thing, and I don't know how it fell through the cracks, but I will slap it together and put it out, and we'll have correct answers.
I did notice that when I was cleaning out descriptors.
I know. I was like, damn it. Okay, we'll get back to that. I would like to talk next about the game called Draw Steel, which is by MCDM, Matthew Colville. Wow, I can't speak either. Draw Steel, I'm very excited about to dip in. It's one that I still know the least about in some ways, but I just slapped the newest playtest into Notebook LM, and here's my take on it. I feel like it is a game that could be for people who miss D&D 4th edition. Is that fair to say, Seth? Like it is 4th edition, but Colville's version, and definitely not super tabley or statty. It is tactical, but it's cinematically tactical. You are a superhero. There is no you think of everything as a film or a long television program. It is so you are always the hero, the heroine, the main person. Yeah, I get it. I definitely believe that D&D could have gone down this path and could have really made a lot of people happy or angry. It would be really different. It would be really different.
We would have, what you're saying is we'd have more Pathfinder if D&D had gone this way. We'd have more Pathfinder games.
So the trick about Draw Steel, though, is it's very much Colville's world. And I think that's going to be tricky for a lot of people. It's not nearly as much as Cosmere, but even the races and the classes that he uses, like Polder, Time Raiders, Memenek, and Steel Dwarf, these are things I'd never heard of that are really just something in his world. He has a timescape, which is kind of his multiverse that so you can homebrew your own thing, but it is more specific. So I'm super psyched to see how it plays, what it is. 2d10 system, but I did back some special D10s that are shaped like D20s. So it's like 1 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 to 10, which I'm psyched about because that's really fun. Attacks almost always hit.
There's a lot less dice rolling in
there
this
is
game, right?
It's less crunchy than Pathfinder for sure.
So what would so do you don't even roll for attacks? Am I remembering that correctly? You just hit. Like you're just assume that you're good at what you do and you always hit.
They always hit, but there can be like a glance,
like how well you hit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how would you not hit? Do you know?
Well, White Fox's attacks always hit.
They always hit. It's just exactly. It's
you could
like
hit and do no damage, like it just glances off the armor,
which is DC 20-esque, but in a different concept. Yeah, you always hit, but it could be either like the dodging function of your opponent, or it could be you can flavor it the way that you want. And that's the part that I cannot wait to dive into more, because I want to know how they combine those two words, tactical and cinematic. But I think that's it. The cinematic part is you always hit. You're a superhero. You're always going to hit. Like the bad guys don't always hit. But then the tactic part is what do you do with that? And so you've got power rolls, and you have all these different mechanics that are completely different for each class and race and so on.
I'm seeing Elliot say something about negotiations as well, which sounds real fun.
And then negotiations that's a highly contested thing, but I kind of psyched about it because it's like a role-playing argument. You're role-playing arguments or role-playing on negotiations, but and that you leave up to chance, which is really kind of neat. Oh, they do always hit. Yeah, I'm a little behind. Thank you for clarifying. I see.
So I see a trend outside of D&D of like critical failures, not so much a consideration. Or in some of these games, not across the board. I don't want to generalize, but it sounds like if you always hit, it sounds like you could hit, but maybe not do damage. I don't know what the mechanic is around like how that would happen, but if you always hit, how do you critically fail? And I'm asking the question because like in a game that's straight tactical, it doesn't probably matter. But in a game that's not solely tactical, then a critical failure can oftentimes be the best moment of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone commented on that. I think it was as we've kind of like sprinkled Daggerheart talk through this, and somebody was saying like Daggerheart fail with fear is the closest to a crit fail.
Right.
And I think what's happening is a lot of these systems are being set up to be more role-play-y. It sounds like if you can trigger a negotiation tactic in something like Draw Steel, you can fail with fear in something like Daggerheart. They're building the case around less emphasis on the GM and more emphasis on so you tell me what happens. You hit but didn't get the intended outcome. Did you see something? Did something scare you? Like, what is it to make that a role-playing moment versus a mechanical moment is my hypothesis there.
White Seth says, if anyone is curious to Draw Steel, I recommend
White Seth.
Sorry, I didn't read
Goes to our purple Seth.
Yeah.
It sounds more complicated than it is. And White Fox, do you have by any chance an example of a play test, actual play that you would like to share with us?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's the cool thing about Draw Steel, from what I gather, is that it is going to be real different.
Yes, I would say White Fox, drop a link as a comment, not just in chat, but an actual comment on the video with a link, because I'd love to watch more and know more. And
it's just different, but there's so few people that I personally know that played 4E, 4th edition, and I made the mistake of playing 4th edition one or two times. But that was the first time I was doing D&D since I was 10. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the 4E was set up for that. 5E was, more so. And so it did not really, like, just get into my... It was very, like, combat was second by second, things that you did. But I could see how fun that would be. I could see how fun that could be if... Mm-hmm. Especially if there weren't a ton of roll tables, and yes, the tacticity was actually
I love that.
Playing tacticity of our city.
You know what I think all of these games are missing?
What?
Speaking of roles, I think all of these games are missing THACO. Let's bring that back.
Oh man. Let's do it.
We need... What are we talking about with these crit fails? That's not the thing that we're missing in these games. We're missing THACO.
All right, Elliot.
Elliot, you're in.
Yeah,
I love that we're picking up who we want to play things with. And
You're hired.
Elliot, get it. Yeah. Elliot, Elliot USA.
Yeah.
If you're in SLC.
Yeah. Yes. Elliot, also share, man. If you've got things that we should watch, if you are yourself GMing a game, please invite us.
Yeah. We're coming over to your house.
In the show notes, we have our Discord. If people aren't in our Discord yet, get in, because it's fun. We got the coolest people in there. Yeah. And we would love to get to play. THACO has returned for a boss encounter.
Yes. Because remember, this episode of the Pocket Dimension Live is entitled Games We Want to Play in 2025, which means we don't necessarily know all about them yet. In fact, a lot of them are not quite finished, so we will know more. But so please, we're going to need to, draw on y'all's expertise and experience to get to the things that we want. You can help us. I've got one more if we have a minute.
Do it.
This one, I have to say, I'm kind of the most excited about. And I know it's tough because...
Wow.
Because...
more than the other two, which I know that you were so excited about.
I am. I mean, so that's saying a lot.
I know.
Here's why I it still it continues to speak to all of the things about 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons that are difficult for me personally, that I have issues with, right? It started off as just a plugin, a combat plugin for D&D, but then he soon discovered, the developer's name is Evan, he soon discovered that that's really not possible. We've done the same thing. We had the same discovery. Yeah. It really behooves you to just get better at 5e combat, to be honest. However, Evan has kept this conversion system to a game that he's calling Nimble 5e, and it is its own game now with its own classes and its own kind of system, and it has much larger changes than 5e than it did in version 1. But this is version 2. Here's the things I love about it. It does have a conversion set. So you can pick up any 5e Tales of the Valiant game and with a little bit of adjustment, move it over. It is much simpler, clearer language, which I love about ADHD. I actually asked him once, do you have ADHD? Are you writing for the neurodivergent? And he said no, but thanks for the compliment.
Neurospice and rolling dice.
Rolling dice. So what he's done, he's just done everything he could to simplify the concept of 5th edition. And like removing the con stat, the con attribute. So no more that. He folds that into strength, and then wisdom is divided into intelligence and a new one called willpower. So he kind of gets rid of an entire attribute. You still have an armor class, but based on that number, you have either light, medium, or heavy armor, and that's just it just simplifies. Just does this damage do full damage against this armor? Does it do half damage against this armor, or do you add your attributes to this armor, kind of thing? Then it's got action dice and action points, much like DC 20 and Pathfinder and others. But it really does. I think he's getting better. I'm really excited to try it now because I think he's ironed out a lot of the elements. You use these points in the same way that you would use a movement, an attack, another movement, or 2 attacks, or also save them for opportunity attacks. The things that you love about DC 20 and how those action points work, they are also in Nimble. But because he's thinking 5e, there are connections that make a little bit more sense. So spells, you do have to go in and you have to kind of adjust some spells that you may want to use if you use 5e spells. But he has done so much in creating the Nimble spells, which are, anagrams to the 5e versions, but fit into this point system. And then another thing that I haven't even really in the newest design, playtest, is called vignettes, which is really cool, and it kind of reminds me of what you're talking about, the Alien-esque playable backstories, where you start with a purpose. You start with a kind of like a montage, right? Like a vignette of the character. And so also like Daggerheart's what do you call it? Combinations? No.
The connections that
Connections, thank you. Yeah, kind of, again, role-playing heavy. You always hit, kind of. You can critically miss in Nimble, but you roll less dice. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it is, how it feels to play. We tried it and it didn't really gel with y'all, but now I'm ready to kind of dip back
I
in.
think that's because, well, personally, that was because I was very stuck on the things that I liked about 5e.
Sure.
And I was stuck on the differences of
Yeah.
it and the discomfort of that. But I think in the year 2025, I'm more open to just looking at it as a completely different game. And you know, with acknowledgement of my and probably lots of our frustrations with 5e combat, number one. So yeah, maybe rolling less dice is the correct thing to do.
I don't know.
I don't know. My thought might be, at least for this, that I think maybe where some of the friction we had with Nimble when we were playing before is that we were playing in a game with characters that
Well-established
pre-existed.
characters, yeah.
Like, I think maybe we would have been a little bit more open and excited about it in hindsight, and a lesson to learn for moving forward is if we try Nimble again, which I think we will, considering Matt's love of it, I say we just do it as like a one-shot with brand new characters that are built for Nimble, and it might feel better rather than trying to make something else fit into that Nimble box.
I agree.
Yeah, and that was my problem with the Nimble stuff is I felt like I was getting punished for mechanics that my character innately has.
That makes sense.
That I've been playing since 2020. But if it was a new, like, out of the gate, this is how you play this character, I wouldn't feel punished because that would just be the rules of that character.
100%.
And I think, go ahead.
I have a question for you. If you remember a million years ago, seriously, like somewhere around like 2021, you had we were trying out mechanics around like that kind of banished the whole action, bonus action movement. And instead it was like you can take a second action, but you don't get to move and you are a -5 and then you're a -10. What was that based on?
That was based on the Dungeon Coach's homebrew system.
Okay.
Many of them. Alkander's Almanac is probably what it ended up becoming, but probably even that that long ago, it was probably some of his PDFs. But that was DC. He was building DC 20 even kind of back then as homebrew for 5e.
Sorry, I just wanted to flex at how old school we. No, I'm just kidding. I legitimately, I didn't know if that was Dungeon Coach Nimble or something else, but I had a feeling it was something in between those two. Thank you.
Yes, Nimble. Evan from Nimble is very, very influenced by the Dungeon Coach, as well as other things. And to your point just a second ago, AK, I think you're totally right, and I think he himself realized that like taking 5e and turning it, trying to graft on is just not going to work. And I think Dungeon Coach realized that too. Yeah. It's just it's a good idea. It just doesn't feel great. But now that it's way more of its own system, I would love, and it'll be like Daggerheart, like converting Bud and Herb into the Daggerheart system. I think we could do that in Nimble in a similar way. Like we're playing this game, period. We're not playing Dungeons and Dragons with an add-on.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that was a big lesson that so many of us have learned. I think there are two parts to it. Number one, realizing just, as much as we complain about certain parts of 5e, the minute you start trying to adjust some stuff, you're opening up a can of worms that just gets more complicated the farther you go down, number one. And then number two, I think a lot of people with the OGL Crisis, whenever that was, it's been a minute now, realize that it's not a safe, being a third-party creator for a big corporation like that is not necessarily a safe space to financially plant yourself. So kill two birds, create your own shit.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna no shade to the DC 20 lovers in the house, but I feel like I'm gonna enjoy this more than DC 20 because there's certain things that I liked about DC 20. I mean, the latest version that we played last summer. Yeah. There's a lot of things that just aren't my style of gameplay. Not the things that I dug about it the most. It sounds like this might be. I'm interested to give this a shot because I hear a lot of DC 20 similarities, but it might be more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I get it. He has beautiful artwork. Again, it's just very, but in a similar way, he's building this game live. He's he's taking, he live streams his build sessions. He's taking people's ideas, and the community seems really cool over at the Nimble peeps seem real cool. So I'm as I say, more the merrier. I can't wait to see what all of them do. I am very excited about DC20 and the final, and just to see what did Coach do. What did that original 5e homebrew turn into? So even if exactly tabletop, I think it has evolved a lot. It had evolved an enormous amount since we started first people to play it. We'll just have to see.
Yeah. OG's at GaryCon 2023, first to have an actual play on our channel. So we've been following DC20 for quite some time and have seen a lot of iterations. I just want to point out this comment.
I know.
You keep talking about how you like the story and less tactics. And yet, I mean, when we started playing as a group in 2020, it was all D&D. And that has, remained our kind of security blanket. But we have loved everything that's come out of, the OGL and everything. And I think you are going to hear us start to talk less and less about D&D and more about these other games, 2025 and beyond. But there will be a part of us that will always be thankful for what D&D has given us. Yeah. We'll revisit it probably from time to time, but
I will also make a pretty bold statement and then say, if Tales of the Valiant hurries up and gets into Nexus, hint, anybody, please. It is so on. I will say, and Allison can back me up on this. This year's we have a beautiful Patreon, by the way, and one of the benefits of playing, of being a part of being a patron, is that you get to play with us, and we play games every month, and it's a highlight of our month and years. But I really wanted to do TOV for January, but I can't because it's not on Nexus yet.
Yeah, character creation. Because one of the things we love most as a group and as a channel and as a community is bringing newcomers and onboarding. And so, like, the games that we play as a community have to have because we're all busy adults, So nobody has hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to drill into how-to videos and do things, from scratch by hand every time. And so we played as many Daggerheart games as we did 5e games last year with our patrons, because Daggerheart out of the gate just made it so easy for people to hop into the Nexus. And Cosmere. So thanks for that plug, Matt. Signups do start tomorrow for our January one-shots. We will be playing 5e.
But if y'all want to talk me into using the luck die, the luck points in TOV, I ain't gonna stop you. I love it.
And if this is, I'll go ahead and go on record. If this is the last month that we run a 5e game for our patron one-shots, I don't think none of us are going to cry about it.
Tears.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not saying that I am not issuing that gauntlet. I am just saying I am open to that becoming a thing this year. It really does.
Tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was going to say. Community, tell us, what do you want to be playing? And we will help facilitate it. Yeah. Unless I'm in charge and then we're playing Daggerheart. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, I'm not kidding.
We're
just like Vampire the Masquerade with Daggerheart rules.
Right? Okay. I told y'all we're fucking around and finding out this year. Well, this was I know that we went long, but it's basically a snow day. What's Maddie got there?
Yeah, Galaxy just said, would you be interested in DCC? I have that one too. Freaking be interested in DCC. I don't know. Actually, there's probably more likely to have some sort of online character creation in online somewhere. So I would definitely be into a month of that. Definitely. We only played it once. I loved it. Y'all were a little more lukewarm.
I liked it. No,
I liked it. I just felt like it was a lot to learn for a one shot. But it was helpful that we were at a table where people knew what they were doing.
Yes,
it's all the tables. Yeah. But I loved it, so I'm into it.
Yeah. I wanna, as we wrap up.
Yes.
I just, this is the first show for the year. We did a lot of the last couple shows that we did were very much of our favorites of 2024, blah, 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 blah. We just spat out a garbage ton of games that we're excited about or that are coming this year. But I want to know on an individual level. Like, what is the one game when we are closing out 2025 next year? What's the one game that like is your must hit? If we end 2025 and you haven't played this game, and you will be sad, what was that game?
You're asking us, and we're also asking y'all to weigh in the comments and in chat. By the way, this is an open question to all. And I love the question.
Must play for 2025.
I would say, even though I just said that I'm most excited about Nimble, the one that I have to play this year without fail is Old Gods.
Yep.
I want to like live in a small campaign that is not fantasy, just to see if we can. I very, very much want to Old Gods.
Okay, so Old Gods and Daggerheart for me are like the obvious easy answer. So we're just gonna blanket hand wave that. So I'm gonna choose another one since y'all already know that. I think of everything that we've talked about, the one that still interests me the most is actually Draw Steel.
Sure.
Interesting. Not what I would have expected from you. Okay.
I know. I mean, Matt, we had a Pocket Dimension Live now several months ago as that crowdsourcing was wrapping up.
Okay.
And everything Matt shared about it, and then like even watching like Elliot and others in the comments today talking about some of the stuff, you really piqued my interest with the negotiations tactics. So it's the one that, like, of all the things that we've talked about, that definitely made my little signal boosters, my little tentacles raise.
Beautiful.
So.
Oh, Drew, you're right.
I know.
Punk rock more.
I do want more. Boria? Did I do it?
There's specifically a third-party skin for it, which is you're playing a punk rock band touring the UK, and that, I think, is that's the version of it we have to play.
That is. Right. I mean, you know who the punk rock band would have to be too.
Mutants Afraid.
Yeah.
Just their human versions.
Yeah. TTP, you were seen in this. I think I shared that at the end of last year, that my biggest regret is that I didn't get to play more Masks last year. Yeah. We played some of that in 2023, but 2024 didn't. So heck yeah to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evan, what about you?
Evan, yeah.
I don't know. Gosh, I mean, all of these, I'm down. I'm excited to play. I think more than a game system specifically, it's more like a vibe that I want, and Alien matches that vibe. Alien or Cyberpunk match that vibe.
Okay.
Sci-fi, where you're really just a human, probably.
Yeah.
And you could just speak with your, not that you couldn't otherwise. I rarely like to speak with my own speaking voice when I'm playing a game, but it would be nice to feel like that's okay. And things that are scary. I want to get stirred.
Yeah.
So Alien's probably the thing I'm the most excited about.
Okay. We're gonna make it happen soon.
And that's the thing. I wonder. Actually, I did do Alien, so I feel bad asking this question because I should know the answer. But I want
DT's here in comments. He's got us.
Yeah, DT, let me know, because you know what I don't know, since we haven't played a ton of other Free League games. We have played a touch of Merkbor, but we haven't done some of the other ones. Like, I know we want to play Vaesen and stuff like that. But is Alien on the Year Zero engine? I think it might be, because I wonder if that would be better suited to Old Gods than Cypher, because the thing that I've seen going around about Old Gods is that it should be scarier than it is, whereas Alien really hits that mark.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you, John.
John says yes. DT says I believe so.
I really like Year Zero. Which one did I do?
Belial.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we were all on the same page.
John is what are the other Free League besides Mutant Zero, obviously, that are Year Zero? I don't think Vaesen is, but I think
that its own thing.
I think it's Electric State, maybe, or I'm trying to remember.
All right, Mothership, Tales from the Loop.
I have Free League up.
Galaxy is very excited about Mothership, y'all. And I love to see it.
Mothership.
Yeah,
Wilder Feast, Merkborg, Cloud Empress, Daggerheart says JD. Kai says I want to learn Daggerheart this year, both as a player and a GM. Listen, if we need to GM guild, We created the Game Masters Guild in our Discord. I'm happy to talk about that more, Kai.
Come on.
Okay. Well, if Vaesen is 0-0, then that is a beautiful system. Ooh. It is light, but fun and no freaking math. Practically no math. I remember that much. It was so
on
great.
year 0. It is. I've got it pulled up now. You know, we were talking about doing was it Old Gods of like we need to go to a forest somewhere and play outside and be super scared. Yeah. We need to do we were joking over Christmas that we needed to get a cabin in Sweden in the middle of fucking nowhere. This is the game to play there.
Yes.
This is the game to play when you're snowed in a off-grid cabin in the middle of Scandinavia.
Yes. May I also just say, as we wrap this up too, for those of you who are watching this and have no idea what we're talking about, don't play any of these games, we might as well be speaking a foreign language. We're happy to have you here and help you out too, because there was a time when I not only didn't know what any of this meant, but actively made fun of it. And that time was not very long ago, but a couple of years. So if you are curious and anything we've said resonates and piques your interest, you're in the right place also.
Yeah.
And if you just want to watch a bunch of nerds talk about a bunch of nerd shit, also fine.
Yeah.
We'll be your white noise all day. You need just someone chattering in the background while you fold your undies after laundry day? We're there. We've got
I would like to be your purple noise, but yes.
Your purple noise.
Yep. There's so many good ones, and I'm ready. Bring it.
I have one more thing, you guys, before we jump. Okay. So recently, we've kind of talked about this on socials a little bit, but recently we submitted the Adventures of Bud and Herb to the Tabletop Arts Fund back at the end of 2024, and we won a small grant to submit the show to the Audio Fiction World Cup, and in advance of that, we remastered episodes 1 through 5 because by the time we got to episodes 6 through 9, we had leveled up in our editing and sound design and things like that. And we kind of went back to the first episodes and we're like, these need a little love. so we loved on them. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like revisiting the world, go back. Episodes 1 through 5 are now sparkly and more fun. Or if you have a person in your world who has not yet heard the show, please let them know about it because it's all shiny, clear, shiny.
Thank
you for sharing that, brother.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share it. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Seriously though, even if you listened to it before, Evan did some magnificent sound design on episodes 1 through 5 that weren't there before. It's so, go to wherever you get your podcasts and re-download that shit and enjoy. New Year, new Bud and Herb, New Year.
Please enjoy.
Yeah.
And there is a continuing saga helmed by our friend Seth of All Trades, Seth McKay. Chapter 3 is coming out next week, maybe even 3 and 4. The Cinder Expanse is what we're calling it. Did we get Seth's permission to call it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But that's a delight that we are working on as well. So come on, guys. We're with you.
Look around and find out.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you, everybody. We had such a cool full house today. Yeah, thank y'all for chatting with us, telling us what you're excited about.
We love this. We're psyched.
We rely on your expertise. Y'all know so much more about these games than we do.
You really do.
We'll see y'all in our Discord. I see that we've already had some of y'all floating in there. We'll see our patrons for signups for the one-shots tomorrow and Sunday. And we'll see you back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week. And if you know what we should talk about, you should tell us in Discord.
Please. All the time.
We're just scratching the surface of all this juicy, delicious gaming for 2020.
Amazing. See you later. Bye.